Atma Nirvriti, chapter 17. Drishya darshanam gallude mattoru shodhana. Perceptions and objects. Atmananda has covered this in a different way before. Primordial awareness or pure consciousness has levels within itself. So now he's going to do the similar points but from a higher level of the pure consciousness. Yeah? A higher level of the primordial awareness. Because within pure consciousness there are different levels, and we learnt that from Buddha's sutta very clearly. Those suttas are the only ones that explain these levels so much in depth and how to get there experientially. So let's see now, drawing a comparison between what we've learned from Buddha and now see what Atmananda says at the higher level of the pure consciousness. Not at the general level of the pure consciousness, but at a specific, detailed level, one higher level than before. So let's take a step beyond the body and mind and recognize that I am the witness of the body and mind. Now turn towards the I. Follow it. Recognize its dissolution into the nothingness. Now recognize that at this level there is no duality. Everything and everyone is simply a single 3D consciousness screen. It is what Buddha refers to as singleness. Yeah? Buddha's word was singleness. I'm using the word a 3D single consciousness screen. Now we move from the previous understanding of just single screen to a 3D single consciousness screen. Why? Because it is one single consciousness. It is not that you have a separate consciousness and I have a separate personal consciousness. No, it is the same nothingness. Just like that space in Austria, that space in US, and this space here in Germany are not separate. It's the same single space. Like that only, it is the same single consciousness. In this single consciousness, there are images, and these images are 3D images. Yeah. So this 3D consciousness screen itself is Sahaj Samadhi. This is what Atmananda described in the previous chapter. We will now understand what Atmananda is saying about perceptions and objects from the level of pure consciousness. We did in chapter 15 that all experience and knowledge is within. Then how can their objects be outside? You remember that? Yeah, and there was homework that you recognize this truth again and again and again whenever old conditioning takes over. Remind yourself that everything exists inside me. There is nothing outside. They cannot exist even as subtle objects nor as thoughts. When we look inwards towards the witness consciousness, mind is still out. It's still outside. And we consider that this thought, which is at the level of the mind, is a subtle object. So Atmananda clarified they cannot exist even as subtle objects, even as thoughts. The experiencer and the experience are one and the same. Do you remember this from the last chapter? Yeah, and they are inside. Now when you turn inwards and you let the I destroy itself, this was called Manonasha by Ramana Maharshi, if you remember. And that is what Atmananda and even Saint Kabir call Sahaj Samadhi. Nisargadatta Maharaj calls it Nisarga Yoga. So where there is nothing but the light of awareness, the void filled up with consciousness that eats up the mind totally. Then you have come to that 3D single consciousness screen. You have become the black hole that destroys everything, every object, physical as well as mental. Now it is the state where the world and the body dissolve into the mind, and the mind further dissolves, losing all its characteristics. And that self-centered state is our natural state, Sahaj Samadhi. Natural, Sahaj. जो सहजता से आता है, means that which comes very naturally to me. I don't have to make an effort. It has always been happening to me. But I tend to lose myself in the I and the thoughts that the I attaches itself to. This I used to always keep dissolving back, get sucked up by the black hole. It always happened, but I ignored it. Do you see this? Yeah, it's a natural state that always happened, but I ignored it earlier. Now I recognize it. So we completed the journey from the external to the innermost till chapter 16, and we found our true and natural state of Sahaj Samadhi. Yeah. Now he begins the outward journey. So chapter 1 through 16, he kept bringing us inwards. Now he begins the outward journey. You'll still not start going out completely. You'll just turn around now from this point and look outside. That is what is chapter 17. So far is clear? I have not started the chapter. I was just giving you an introduction to what the chapter entails. Yeah? So now from this point we are only turning outside. We are not stepping out yet. When from this point, from this vantage point, I look outside, how does it appear? That is what the 3 shlokas of this chapter are. Okay? When you look out from this point, you will see there is nothing out there. It's your own vibrations. At the absolute reality level, there is no Dvaitam. There is no duality, no two. You have reached a level of recognition where you can clearly see there is only a 3D single consciousness screen where there is only the universal I, where there is only the higher witness. And you have reached this understanding very clearly that there is only a Dvaitam. No two. Are you able to see this in your daily routine? At work, at home, with friends, interacting like this online. Yes, even if it is not moment to moment, have you started seeing glimpses every now and then? Now keep a goal that I have to get there moment to moment. Moment to moment. Yes, there shouldn't be a single moment where I was not in this clear recognition of what I am. And what is the recognition? It's that simple. It's like this space. I am this space in which all this is going on. Whatever is going on. Office, friends, partying, disco, movie, or boring people, boring conversation, boring same old family members, whatever. I am the space in which all this masala is going on, or non-masala is going on, blandness is going on. Moment to moment to moment. Can we keep that goal now, going ahead? Let's inquire into this in detail and test ourselves. So, answer a few questions for me. Am I speaking about the pure consciousness? Are you hearing about the pure consciousness? You're nodding in affirmative. Are you sure? Inquire again. At what level is speaking and hearing happening? You remember? At the level of the senses, that is the gross level. At what level are you? At the level of awareness, isn't it? So can awareness move from one level to another? Does the gross world even exist? Can you say, I was at the gross level, now I am not? Is that even a possibility? No, there is only one possibility, the level of awareness. The idea of a gross world existing itself is illusory. So you can't say, I shuttle. To shuttle, there have to be two. Dvaitam must exist. Correct? But Dvaitam doesn't exist only. The tiger in the dream doesn't exist. How can you say, no, I had fear, I had become the dream subject? It doesn't exist. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Yeah? In the level of awareness, when you look down, when you look out now, you see that doesn't exist. It's only an idea, an assumption, a lie. It's fake. Yes? This has to be the next stage where at every moment to moment, with family, with friends, even with other Advaitins, it is all fake. There is only one level, the level of awareness. There is no question of shuttling. Shuttling would mean that there is a level of awareness and a level of not awareness, or a level of unconsciousness. Can unconsciousness even exist? No, because this level is beyond consciousness and being unconscious. The being unconscious is related to the body. Correct? Yeah. So at this level of awareness, there is no question of non-awareness. At this level of pure consciousness or primordial awareness, there is no question of being conscious or unconscious, because you're beyond both. Both of these are ideas. It's not that being unconscious is an idea. Even being conscious is an idea. Not just being unaware is an idea. Even being aware is an idea. Are you getting this? There is no option. You cannot be unconscious. There is no option. You cannot be unaware. Just English language words these are that we adopted in our everyday language and we forgot the truth. Yeah, so wake up. It's not even a possibility. There is only awareness. So again and again, take the Sahaj Samadhi stand, be self-centered again and again and look at it. Am I speaking about the pure consciousness? Are you hearing about the pure consciousness? No, there is no speaking happening, there is no hearing happening. Just like the tiger in the dream. There is no tiger. The tiger was always unborn, ajata. Similarly, this Advaita session where one is speaking and another is hearing is ajata, unborn. This world of ours, where we Advaitins are sitting and discussing Advaita, this world is unborn. The mind that is talking about Advaita right now, bringing up thoughts about Advaita right now, agreeing about something that it heard about Advaita right now, disagreeing. The mind is ajata, unborn. Ajata, unborn. So if only the level of primordial awareness exists, it means that neither am I speaking, nor are you hearing, neither is there an I, nor is there a you. Speaking is non-existent, hearing is non-existent, sound is non-existent. There is no speaker, no hearer, there is nobody. So when you are at the absolute reality, you see this truth clearly. It's like the screen. The screen does not make an assumption about the images on it saying that this image is talking to this image. No, there is no talking happening here. So at this highest absolute reality level, there is nothing happening. If this much is clear, now you'll understand the first verse. What is he saying here? There is no seeing, there is no form, there is only awareness. A particular movement in awareness is given a label seeing. A particular movement in awareness is given a label form. Yeah? The label is assumed to be separately existing entity. Like on the screen, there is nothing but light. But a particular image of light is called the hero. And the particular image of light is called the heroine. But really it is only light. There's nothing there. Yes? So there is no seeing happening. There is no form. Yeah? They are actually non-existent. At the gross level, there is the illusion of form as well as the illusion of the sense of seeing. One makes the other. Both are really non-existent. Just like the illusory tiger of the dream. And he says this applies to all the other sense perceptions. That means there is an illusion of sound. Ekta's words, sound. Illusion of the sense of hearing Ekta's words. One makes the other. Both are actually non-existent, he's saying. There is no hearing here. There is no sound here. Both are non-existent. Yeah? Just like the illusory tiger of the dream. Apply that to smell now. There is maybe an odor in your environment. Maybe food smell is coming from the kitchen. There is no food smell really. There is no food also. Even that sense of smelling is an illusion. They are non-existent, like the illusory tiger of the dream. Ajata, it's unborn. Similarly, flavor. Suppose there is some residue of the past thing that you just ate before you started this session. He's saying there is no flavor even, nor is there the sense of tasting. Yeah? Both are non-existent. Just like the tiger in the dream is ajata, this flavor is ajata, the food item is ajata. Just like the image on the screen, if I have light projecting an image of a chocolate cake, the truth is not the chocolate cake, the truth is the light. Yeah? So from this level of pure consciousness, am I able to see that? This is the homework that you have to do going forward. Yeah? Can I see this again and again and again? That all this is just images. And the image is nothing but light. It is not real food. Yeah? The next is texture. Yeah? I am touching something. Is this an illusion? How is this an illusion? Keep seeing that from the level of the primordial awareness, pure consciousness. You are keeping your stand there and just turning outside. Till now we did the journey inwards. Now, once we've come here, we just turn around and we are looking outside, looking at texture. Isn't this texture simply the light on the screen? It is made up of light. It is made up of consciousness or awareness. There is no real texture existing here. There is no real sense of touching happening here. Yeah? Just like the illusory tiger of the dream is ajata, this texture is also ajata, unborn. If so far you can start seeing just being here at the natural state. From this state, seeing everything as unborn, then you'll understand the next verse. When there is no person there, how can anyone see? Who is there to see? There's nobody. There is no person here. Yeah? How can anyone hear? Who is there to hear? Nobody. How can anyone hear? Similarly, if there is some aroma of food in the house, maybe, when there is no person, how can anyone smell? Who is there to smell? Nobody. Going forward, you keep asking yourself this question. When there is no person, How can anyone taste that chocolate cake? Who is there to taste? Nobody. When there is no person, how can anyone touch or sense a touch? Who is there to touch or feel the touch? Nobody is there. Yeah, so he says nobody sees, hears, smells, tastes, touches, or even thinks anything. Because there is no existence that you can prove for any of these objects or any of the sense activities. Going forward, you have to remember the word ajata, unborn. This is unborn. Just like the tiger in the dream was unborn, this chocolate cake is unborn. Yeah? Or this person who I think is the family member who is giving me grief, this is unborn. Experiment and verify in your own experience, in your own family, in your own office life, work life, in your own social circle. Can I verify that there's no one to smell anything, no one to taste anything, no one to touch anything, no one that hears anything? Can I even verify that the object of sight is non-existent? The object of sound, these words, this is object of sound, is non-existent. The object of smell is non-existent. The object of taste is non-existent. The object of touch is non-existent. Can you prove the existence of any object? Any object, how much ever grief it is causing you. Your money, you are worried about your finances. Can you prove the existence about the money and the grief that it is causing you? Is it an independently existing entity outside of your consciousness? No. From this point of supreme reality, there are no sense objects there. No sense object, no person to experience the sense object, no function of experiencing, no function of seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, or even thinking is happening. Ajata, unborn. This physical body that I considered once upon a time to be myself is also an object. If objects have no existence, obviously this physical body that is an object also has no existence. If you start seeing this clearly, you will understand why this physical body is not with you in the dream, in the sleeping dream at night. Why is it not there? Because it is ajata. It is the ajata, which is the body projected in the waking state. Just like in the sleeping dream, you have another dream body that is projected. Maybe you're flying in the sky. You have that dream body that is projected. That body is not available to you here in this waking state. That was the ajata of the sleeping dream. Similarly, this physical body is the ajata of the waking dream. Both are dreams, mind you. This physical body is just like this world of objects. Ajata, unborn, illusory. You were simply pretending for a long time that you are this body mind. and that you were born on such and such a date to this particular couple, and that you existed as a body and grew up and you have aged this long. And the biggest illusion of this whole thing called life is that you are going to die now. What you are not seeing is that you are dying every single night at the end of the waking state. At the end of the waking state, this physical body that I considered as I, this body dies. It's not available in the sleeping dream. Yeah. And then when I go to the deep sleep state, both the bodies, the waking state illusory body and the dream state illusory bodies, both are dead. They are not available in the deep sleep state. Yeah, so it is a very big illusion that I am going to die. Look at it from this vantage point of Sahaj Samadhi. How will that die which was ajata, that which was never born? Yeah, so contemplate on this. This is your next homework. The most important milestone that must happen at this stage is the fear of death should leave you. If that has not happened, then you are not there experientially yet. Yeah, so this is the most important contemplation that I have to do, a self-exploration, a self-inquiry that I have to indulge in throughout this week and see, am I really going to die? Or is death an illusion? Can I see it experientially? Then experiment with yourself. And in the night while going to sleep, recognize I, the witness, cannot go to sleep. It's the body-mind that sleeps. Let the body-mind sleep. And be a witness to it. Then move into the dream state. And see how the physical body is not available in the dream state. In the dream state, there is another dream body. And then that is also not mine because it is the same I that is experiencing the dream state that was previously experiencing the waking dream. Did I die when the waking state was over? Oh, I didn't die when the waking state was over. Now when this dream dies, I'm so totally feeling that I am this dream subject. When the dream dies, did I die? No, I moved into the darkness of deep sleep. There was an absence of all these objects of the waking dream and sleeping dream. And I know that for sure. That's why when I come out of the deep sleep, I can so confidently say that there was nothing there. There was just absolute sound sleep, or absolute peace, absolute quietness. Who knows? That means I did not die when I transitioned from the waking state to the sleeping dream, and I transitioned from the sleeping dream to the deep sleep state. Again, from the deep sleep state, I've come back to the sleeping dream, and from the sleeping dream, I've come back to the waking state. In none of these transitions did I die. But the physical body definitely was gone. I have zero proof that it existed with me in the sleeping dream, and I have zero proof that it existed on the bed in the deep sleep state. Correct? Similarly, the dream body was not there. I have no proof that it existed in the deep sleep state. I have no proof that it exists in the waking state. So that means I am not these bodies, and I'm not the little mind associated with that particular projection of that day in that waking dream or the sleeping dream. Oh, I am that which is beyond. This is the correct experiential milestone. If you've reached here experientially, then the fear of death will completely leave you. The fear of death might not leave the mind that is associated with the physical body when it appears in the waking state, but I, the consciousness, have no such illusion that I will die. Let there be war. Even if this body dies in that war, I, the pure consciousness, will remain untouched. Only this waking dream ends. Another sleeping dream will start maybe. Who knows? Yeah. I, the pure consciousness, have never died. Yes. Do you recognize to what level chapter 17 takes you? Yeah. So please contemplate. This is the most important homework for this week. Set aside all other responsibilities for this week, all other tasks. Second priority. This is number one. Yes, everybody committed to their own self for this week, for this self-exploration. Yeah. Because non-knowingness, non-awareness or non-consciousness does not exist. So the question arises, the unborn and illusory dream tiger, it was experienced definitely. Where is the knowing happening? The unborn and illusory dream character was experienced definitely. Where is that knowing happening? And the unborn and illusory waking character is being experienced right now definitely. Where is that knowing happening? The unborn and illusory waking objects and the waking world, they are being experienced definitely. Where is that knowing happening? How and where is knowledge happening? Atmananda says that everything is only at the awareness level. The universal I or the I principle is the knower, it is the known, it is that through which knowing happens, and it is knowledge itself. Just like H2O. H2O is the deep, quiet bed of the ocean. H2O is the turbulent waves which create like tsunami waves, and H2O is also the small little bubbles, and H2O is also the white color foam on the top of the water. H2O is also very gentle waves, and H2O is also the rogue waves. Yes? Finally, it is all H2O. The I principle is that, he says. It is self-luminous like the sun. In its luminosity shines the knowledge of that illusory dream tiger, the illusory dream character, the illusory dream world. Yes? As well as the illusory waking character in this illusory waking world. All of them are in the deep sleep state where there is no ignorance. All these waves are in H2O, where there is no other. And repeat that. All of them are in a deep sleep state where there is no ignorance. Ignorance means what? Dvaitam, no? Yeah? Not knowing the truth is ignorance. Dvaitam is ignorance. Now at this primordial awareness level, there is no Dvaitam at all. There is no ignorance. Yes? You see all these images as nothing but light. So they are all in a deep sleep state. Yeah? Let's attempt to understand the difference between deep sleep full of ignorance, the way you saw it before Ajatavada, and deep sleep devoid of ignorance after Ajatavada. Before Ajatavada, in deep sleep state, there is ignorance of one's true nature in waking, in dreaming, in deep sleep. Consciousness does not know itself. Consciousness assumes itself to be the waking character in the waking state. Consciousness assumes itself to be the dream character in the dream state. And consciousness assumes itself to be the darkness in the deep sleep state. This is before Ajatavada. After Ajatavada, one is always in Sahaj Samadhi. And from the vantage point of this Sahaj Samadhi, from the vantage point of this natural state, there is clarity that there is only consciousness, whether it is waking, dreaming or deep sleep. So there is no question of ignorance. Why? Because consciousness is knowing itself, experientially projecting the waking state along with this waking character, this body-mind, and its waking objects. Consciousness knows itself, experientially projecting this waking character and its waking objects in this waking state. Consciousness knows. Are you seeing the difference? Before Ajatavada, consciousness assumed itself to be the waking character. Now consciousness knows. It sees itself projecting. It always recognizes I am like this space. This entire domain range is me. In that there is this image of this character. There are sensations, there are perceptions of this waking world. Yeah? But this clarity is there, this knowingness is there. There is no question of ignorance here. Yeah? Consciousness is knowing itself, experientially projecting the dream state in which there is a dream character and dream objects. So it is knowing. Similarly, consciousness knows itself, experientially projecting the deep sleep state and the absence of the objects from the waking and dream states in the deep sleep state. Is this clear? Before Ajatavada, consciousness assumed itself to be either the waking character or the dream character, the darkness in deep sleep. After Ajatavada, consciousness knows itself projecting the waking character, waking objects in the waking world. Consciousness knows itself projecting The dream character, the dream objects, and the dream world consciousness knows it's projecting the absence of all these objects in the deep sleep state. Have you reached that experiential recognition yet? Next homework. Have I recognized this? Then only I can say yes. Before Ajatavada I was here, and now after recognizing this knowledge I am here. I have made the journey from here to here. Am I experientially there? When you see that, when consciousness knows itself projecting all three states, thus even in deep sleep, there is only consciousness silently and serenely resting in its glory. This is the meaning of no ignorance. Yeah? There is no ignorance there at all. So far is clear. The meaning of no ignorance is clear. Now from the serenity of this deep sleep arise vibrations within itself. These vibrations are simply movements in consciousness. Like light projects on a screen and there are movements in the light and that appears as the image on the screen. It's nothing but a movement in light. Similarly, there are movements in consciousness. From the serenity of this deep sleep arise vibrations within consciousness itself. And these vibrations are simply movements in consciousness. They might have been pre-Ajatavada labels of witness plus its corresponding perception, sensation, thought and feeling in the dream state or in the waking state. But post-Ajatavada, they are only movements or vibrations within myself, the consciousness. Remember, we are looking from the vantage point of our natural state, Sahaj Samadhi. The entire dream state consisting of the dream character and dream objects, pre-Ajatavada, is now merely movements or vibrations in consciousness which are made up of consciousness itself. So, next homework question for you. Do I recognize this experientially? Pre-Ajatavada is to label this as person, this as a particular thing, this as money, this as name, this as fame, this as Advaita. Now, do I see all of this as simply movements or vibrations in consciousness? Clear? Yeah. Just to become very, very clear what Atmananda is saying in this last verse, in short, we'll revise this again. Before Ajatavada, waking state was ignorance of my true nature and a wrong assumption that I am this person, body, mind, ego, personality. And this assumption was superimposed on the natural state of consciousness, of pure consciousness. That was before Ajatavada. This is about the waking state. Before Ajatavada, dream state, ignorance of one's true nature of consciousness brought about the wrong assumption that I am the dream character in the dream state. And that was superimposed on the natural state of consciousness. So I only saw myself as the dream character. Just like I suffered in the waking state because of the superimposition, I saw myself only as the waking character. I suffered in the waking world. Similarly, in the dream state, when I was in a nightmare, I suffered in the nightmare. Why? Because that dream character assumption was superimposed on the natural state of consciousness. Waking and dream clear? Deep sleep state? Ignorance of my true nature of consciousness was there, and there was, because of that, the feeling that I am absent in the deep sleep state. Because true nature of consciousness is emptiness, like space. Yeah? So I thought I'm the darkness, or I am absent. The darkness of ignorance was superimposed on my natural state of consciousness before Ajatavad. Yeah? This is the meaning of the snake is superimposed on the rope. Yeah? When I start seeing the snake is real, but the reality was only rope. Yeah? This is the way most of the scriptures explain the concept of superimposition, but this was first given by Adi Shankaracharya. Yeah? The concept of superimposition. This is how Adi Shankaracharya explains in his initial discussions about Advaita Vedanta. He says, after Ajatavada, from the vantage point of this natural state, this ignorance that I had, the superimposition, that ignorance of being either the person or the dream character or being the darkness, this ignorance gets destroyed. How? Every perception, sensation, thought and feeling, including the I thought, it disappears, it self-destructs, it merges with the pure consciousness at Sahaj Samadhi level. Here there is only pure consciousness. It is like a wave that merges into the ocean. You will say that the wave is destroyed, it is no more. But in truth it is, the wave has become the ocean. Yeah? It always was the ocean. It just for some time thought, I am this wave, and it put on a hat and it pulled at its nakli mooch, its false mustache, thinking I am the wave. No, it dissolved back into the ocean. It was always the ocean. Not that it won't arise again. It arises back out of the ocean. It now knows I am the ocean. There is no more fake hat going up and the fake mustache being pulled anymore. There is absolute knowledge. There is no ignorance now. So the pre-ajata wave, pre-ajatavada wave is ignorant. The post-ajatavada wave is wise. The wave is made of the same H2O as the ocean. Yeah? Now there is no more separate wave and ocean, no dvaitam there, no duality. There is only H2O. Has this become my experiential recognition? There is no world and no I experiencing the world. There is only consciousness. Ask yourself this question again and again this week. When an Ajatavadan awakens to his true nature, the ignorance called the waking personality, this body-mind, this ignorance drops away. Similarly, the ignorance called the dream character, the dream subject, drops away. And the ignorance called the blankness of deep sleep or darkness of deep sleep, or I was absent in deep sleep, this drops away. There is only jnana, pure jnana of one's true nature, of oneness, advaitam, oneness. It is as if everything is in a deep sleep state. There is no duality of waking character and waking world, no duality of dream character and dream world, no duality of deep sleeper and the darkness of deep sleep. Duality is destroyed. It is as the waking, dreaming and deep sleep states as well as their contents are in deep sleep. Deep sleep means devoid of ignorance. There is only oneness. Devoid of Dvaitam. There is only oneness. Everything in this deep sleep state is full of knowingness. That is why it is devoid of ignorance. How is the deep sleep state of the body-mind in the night? There is no knowingness there. There is 100% ignorance. Yeah? But in this deep sleep state that Atmananda is talking about in this verse number 3, he's saying everything in this deep sleep state is full of knowingness. It is devoid of ignorance. So right now we are in a deep sleep state devoid of ignorance. There is nobody speaking, nobody hearing, nobody making notes, no doer, no action. There is simply a deep sleep state devoid of ignorance, where there is consciousness and movements in consciousness. And when you forget your true self and you become the ego, you get an illusion of I am the speaker and you are the hearer, I am the doer, you are the experiencer. And that whole story starts again. Yeah? What is that seed? Forgetting my true nature. That is what propelled story creation. How to prevent this from happening? How to prevent from dropping down from the absolute reality level and assume the ignorance or the ego level? Simply unlearn all that you have learned so far. Reject every conditioning, reject every old pattern, just letting them dissolve into the awareness, into the absolute reality. Empty out every idea, every concept. Dissolve in the void. Go into Sahaj Samadhi. From this vantage point of natural state, now look outwards. Look at the thoughts, the feelings, the perceptions, sensation, whatever. And see them simply as a movement in consciousness. Simply a deep sleep state devoid of ignorance. Clear? I hope the 3 shlokas are very, very clear. So this is a very big milestone. I hope you recognize that. So now, see that you work on recognizing this really when going to sleep and waking up. Recognize the continuity of the pure consciousness in all the 3 states. That's the most important thing. Second, the fear of death should leave you completely. The mind can have its thoughts. It can have I am not concerned with it. It is like that illusory tiger in the dream. It was never born. The illusory tiger in the dream was ajata, was never born. Yet it bothers the dream subject. It does not bother me. Yes, that distance needs to be very clear, moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. It does not bother me. So similarly, there will be thoughts coming up. There is war, there can be destruction, this can die, that can die. Let the mind have its thoughts. I cannot die. I do not die. This distance should always be maintained. And you are in the perfect testing time to do this. Right? Yeah, the test has come at the right time. So now experiment and verify. You check, evaluate yourself again and again. Have I gotten there experientially? Okay. Finally, you will come to that understanding, experiential understanding, that everything is in a deep sleep state, devoid of ignorance. Clear?